Stop. Before you book that flight out of the country this summer, you need to hear this, because what's happening right now at U.S. airports could cost you your green card. I'm not being dramatic. I'm seeing it happen in real time. Right now in 2026, CBP officers are pulling green card holders aside when they return to the United States, and some of them aren't making it through. These are people who did everything they thought was right. They had their green card, their passport. They weren't gone for more than 6 months, and they still ended up in secondary inspection for hours, missing flights or worse, facing removal proceedings. I'm Michael from Michael Visa Guide, and in this video, I'm going to share 4 new rules, 4 real patterns we're seeing right now in 2026, plus 1 extra tip at the end that almost nobody talks about. That 5th one could be the most important thing I say today, so make sure you stay until the end. If you're a green card holder, if you travel internationally, or if you have family members who do, share this video with them right now. This information could protect everything they've built here. Let's get into it. Rule number 1, proof of ties to the United States. Here's the fundamental thing you need to understand as a green card holder. Your green card isn't a right to come and go as you please forever. It's a privilege, and it comes with a legal requirement. You must maintain the United States as the center of your life. That's the standard, and CBP officers are enforcing it more aggressively in 2026 than at any point in recent memory. Officers aren't just stopping people who've been outside the country for 6 months or more. They're questioning people who've been gone for 3 months, 2 months, sometimes even a few weeks, especially if those people travel frequently. The first question at the counter is simple. Do you actually live in the United States? Can you prove it right now? Let me tell you about a client who called my office a few months ago. He'd been abroad for 3.5 months visiting a sick parent. Nothing unusual about that. He had his green card, a clean record, no issues. But when he came back, CBP pulled him into secondary. His phone was at 2% battery, his paper documents were in his checked luggage, and his driver's license had expired 6 months earlier. He spent 4 hours in that room proving he still lived in the United States. He almost missed his connecting flight home. That was completely preventable. So here's what I want you to do before every single international trip. Put together a physical folder, not just digital, not just on your phone, with documents that show your life is here. That means a copy of your lease or mortgage statement, a recent U.S. bank statement from the last 30 to 60 days showing active account use, a valid, non-expired U.S. driver's license or state ID with your current address, a utility bill, or any official mail to your U.S. address. Keep that folder in your carry-on bag, not your checked luggage. Most of the time, no one will ever ask for it, but the one time they do, you'll be very glad you have it. Rule number 2, your travel history is now under the microscope. This one is catching people completely off guard in 2026. CBP has access to your full international travel history, every entry, every exit, every destination, and they're using it. Officers aren't just looking at your current trip. They're looking at the pattern of your movements over the past 1, 2, even 3 years. Are you leaving the country every 6 weeks? Are you spending more cumulative time abroad than in the United States? Have you traveled to the same foreign destination over and over? These patterns raise flags, and CBP officers are now specifically trained to ask about them. Let me be clear about something. There's nothing illegal about traveling as a green card holder. You can travel as much as you want, but you need to be prepared to explain your travel in a way that makes sense, and you need something on paper to back it up. I had another client, a businessman who travels internationally every 5 or 6 weeks for work. Coming back through JFK, the officer pulled up his travel history on screen and asked him to walk through every single trip. He had nothing with him. No documents, no employer letter, nothing. What saved him was a business email on his phone and a company business card. It took 90 minutes. If you travel frequently for work, carry an employer letter or a client contract. If you travel for family care, carry medical records or a letter from a doctor. If you work remotely, carry your remote work agreement showing your employer is US-based. Know your story, be consistent, and have something tangible to support it. Rule number 3, re-entry permits are no longer a free pass. A lot of green card holders apply for a re-entry permit thinking it's a 2-year golden ticket. that they can leave the U.S., stay abroad, and come back with no questions asked. I need to stop you right there because in 2026, that's simply not the reality anymore. A re-entry permit does protect your green card from automatic abandonment if you're outside the U.S. for more than a year. It's still a legitimate and valuable tool, but CBP officers are now specifically flagging re-entry permit holders at ports of entry and pulling them into secondary because they want to know if the reason you gave when you applied for the permit matches what you actually did while you were gone. Think about that. When you filed your re-entry permit application, you gave a reason. Maybe you said you were going abroad to care for an elderly parent. Maybe you said you were expanding a business internationally. That reason is on record. If you come back and tell a different story at the border, you have a serious problem. I had a client who applied for a re-entry permit to care for her sick mother in Brazil. She was gone for 18 months. When she came back, the officer was asking routine questions, and she casually mentioned that she'd also taken a job in Brazil while she was there. That one offhand comment triggered 2 hours of secondary inspection and a formal notation on her file. She got through, but barely. The lesson is simple. Know exactly what reason you gave on your application. Make sure your story at the border is consistent with that reason. Bring documentation that matches, and no matter where you're living, keep your U.S. bank account active, keep your U.S. address current, and keep filing your taxes. Rule number 4. The red flags that will get you stopped every single time. Let's say CBP decides to take a closer look at you when you come back. What's going to turn that secondary inspection from uncomfortable to genuinely dangerous? There are 4 specific red flags showing up over and over in 2026, and I want you to know all of them. The first one is an expired U.S. driver's license or state ID. This seems minor. It's not minor. An expired license tells an officer that this person hasn't been maintaining their life in the United States. If you truly lived here, you would have kept your ID current. If the only U.S. identification you can produce is expired, prepare for a very long conversation. Renew it before your trip. If you don't drive, get a state ID. Keep it current at all times. The second red flag is having no active U.S. bank account. If you can't show that money is moving through a U.S. bank, money coming in, bills being paid, regular account activity, an officer will question whether you actually live here. Closing your U.S. bank account to simplify things while living abroad is one of the worst mistakes a green card holder can make. Keep at least one U.S. account open and use it regularly, even for small transactions. The third red flag is no recent U.S. work history or income. If you've been abroad and have no U.S. employment, no U.S. income, no U.S. tax records to show, CBP will want to know where your money is coming from. If the answer is entirely from a foreign employer and a foreign bank with nothing tied to the U.S., that's a major flag. If you took a leave of absence from work, carry a letter from your employer. If you're self-employed, bring documents showing your U.S.-based business activity. If you work remotely for a U.S. company, have that agreement with you. The fourth red flag is no close family remaining in the United States. Family ties are one of the strongest legal indicators of intent to maintain residency. If CBP determines that all of your immediate family has relocated abroad and you have no remaining ties here, no family, no community involvement, no property, it becomes very difficult to argue that the U.S. is your true home. Document whatever ties you do have: property ownership, community memberships, civic participation, anything that shows your roots are here. Quick 2026 updates before we get to the 5th tip. Biometric screening, facial recognition, and fingerprints have been expanded at entry and exit points across the country. Enforcement is stricter overall, and in rare cases during secondary inspection, if an officer has specific concerns about your ties to the U.S., they may ask to review your phone or look at public social media. This isn't routine for most green card holders, but it does happen, and it's worth being mindful of what you post publicly about where you live and work. Plan accordingly. And now the 5th tip. The one I promised you at the beginning, the one that almost nobody warns you about. Taxes. The IRS and DHS have mechanisms to share information on green card holders, and that coordination has increased in recent years. In practice, unfiled or incorrect tax returns can flag issues during adjudication or at the border, so treat this seriously. Here's what that means for you. If you have a green card and you haven't been filing U.S. tax returns for any reason, regardless of where your income comes from, that can become a problem, at the port of entry. And if you're filing using Form 1040-NR, the non-resident alien form, you're sending a legal signal that you're not a U.S. resident. That directly contradicts your green card status, and it can be used against you. Let me tell you about the most troubling case I've seen recently. A green card holder was outside the U.S. for about 5 months visiting family, not even 6 months. But he hadn't filed taxes for 2 years. And his wife, also a green card holder, had filed as a non-resident alien on the advice of an overseas accountant who didn't understand U.S. immigration law. When the husband came back, CBP had the tax records on screen before he even finished answering the first question. He was detained for 3 hours. His wife's re-entry was denied pending further review. 5 months abroad, all legal, and they still had serious problems because of the taxes. So here's what you need to do right now. File every single year. File as a U.S. resident on Form 1040, not as a non-resident. Work with a CPA who specifically understands international or expat tax law, not just any accountant. The wrong filing can undo years of building your life in this country. And if you have unfiled years or incorrect past filings, address them now before your next trip. Talk to a tax attorney and an immigration attorney together. Don't wait. Before I close out, let me give you the short version of everything we covered today because I want this to stick. Number 1, always carry physical proof that your life is in the United States. A valid ID, a bank statement, a copy of your lease in your carry-on bag every trip. Number 2, be prepared to explain your travel history. Know why you went, how long you were gone, and have something to back it up. Number 3, if you have a re-entry permit, make sure your story at the border matches the reason you gave on your application. Bring supporting documents. Number 4, don't let your driver's license expire. Don't close your U.S. bank account. Maintain some U.S. work history or income. And document whatever family or community ties you have here. And number 5, file your taxes every year. File them correctly as a U.S. resident. And if you have any doubt about how you've been filing, fix it now before it catches up with you at the airport. Look, I know this was a lot, but I'm sharing it because I've seen what happens when people don't know these things. I've seen families separated at the port of entry. I've seen people who lived in the United States for 10 years, who have kids here, who pay taxes here, denied re-entry over something completely preventable. You worked hard for your green card. You built a life here. Don't let a bad tax filing or an expired driver's license take that away from you. If this video helped you, hit that like button right now. It helps YouTube show this to other green card holders who need to see it. Subscribe to Michael Visa Guide if you're not already, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. I post every week with real current information about U.S. immigration. No fluff, just what you actually need to know. Drop your questions in the comments below. I read every single one, and I do my best to answer as many as I can. I'll see you in the next one. Travel safe.